Now for our What in the World segment. We told you on this show a few weeks ago how just three Americans, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Jeff Bezos, have more wealth than the entire bottom half of the United States population. By some calculations, the US has the highest level of economic inequality in the entire developed world. And the tax bill that is working its way through Congress is probably only going to make things worse. It will further enrich families like, well, Donald Trump's. Now, a new study published in the journal Nature gives us some big historical perspective going way back. A team of researchers led by the archaeologist Timothy Kohler at Washington State University examined ancient or prehistoric societies using a very modern tool. It's a scale you might have heard of called the Gini coefficient. Developed by an Italian statistician in the early 1900s, the Gini measures inequality on a scale of 0 to 1. In a group of people who all have the same amount of wealth, you would have a Gini score of 0. In a group in which one individual has all the wealth and all the others have nothing, you would have a Gini score of 1, so 0 to 1. The German bank Allianz has one of the most quoted Gini scales out there. It ranks the United States as the most unequal nation with a score of 0.81. Germany is lower with 0.73. Russia is at 0.69. The most equal countries on the scale are South Korea with a 0.54, China with a 0.53, and Slovakia with a 0.48. All of them, of course, far from totally equal, which would be 0. So Kohler and his team took the Gini coefficient and applied it to archaeological data from 63 societies, some dating back 11,000 years to the beginning of the New Stone Age, when societies started to settle down, build permanent structures, and plant crops. Kohler had few records to draw on from this period, and some of the archaeological sites were better preserved than others, but what they did all have, and what Kohler's team decided to physically measure, were the remains of houses. Big ones for richer people, smaller ones for their poorer neighbors. And what their research suggests is fascinating. Before the advent of agriculture, which is relatively recent in the long perspective of human history, it began around 9000 BC, there was very little inequality. Hunter-gatherer societies had low median Gini scores, 0.17. Then came the domestication of animals, especially the large ones native to Europe and Asia. That did all the heavy farming work. So if you had oxen or horses to help you till your fields, you were a much more efficient farmer. Thus, you could sell more crops at the market and get richer. With that extra wealth, you would buy more horses or oxen and plow more fields and get even richer. And then you could leave it all to your children. Meanwhile, the farmers who could not afford animals were just left behind. Thus began human inequality, and it often perpetuated itself. Now, modern societies found ways to break the cycle through capitalism and meritocracy, which allow bright and successful people of no means to rise up. But this new elite has, in many countries, found ways of perpetuating itself by stacking the deck in its favor, as the tax bill does. The greatest inequality the team found was a 0.68 in Kahun, an ancient Egyptian settlement. It's bad, of course, but not as bad as the Gini score of the current day United States. Kohler, who studied the rise and fall of societies across millennia, has some words of warning for us. If we become too unequal, violence and state collapse could follow. Next on